friends, welcome to the point. In this session, we are discussing about the drainage system. In geomorphology, drainage system is also known as river system, and the patterns formed by the streams, rivers and lakes, in particular drainage basins. They are governed by the topography of the land, whether a particular region is dominated by hard or soft rocks, and the gradient of the land. And let's discuss about the classification of drainage system in India. Drainage system, based on its origin, it is divided into two types: perennial rivers and non-perennial rivers. Perennial rivers in India are the Himalayan rivers like the Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra and their tributaries. They are called perennial. Why? Because they flow throughout the year. Non-perennial rivers. The peninsular rivers are called as non-perennial rivers. Example: Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Narmada and the Thapi and their tributaries are called as non-perennial rivers. Why? Because the flow is not continuous throughout the year. They flow only during the rainy season. Drainage system, based on the size of the catchment area, it is divided into three types: major river, medium river and minor river. It is called major river because the catchment area is about 20,000 square kilometer, and a medium river, it ranges from 20,000 to 2,000 square kilometer, and minor river, it is less than 2,000 square kilometer. The drainage system of India. Indian drainage system, it consists of a large number of small and big rivers, and it is the outcome of evolutionary process of three major physiographic units and the nature and characteristics of precipitation. Let's discuss about the Himalayan drainage. The Himalayan drainage system, it has evolved through a long geological history. It mainly includes Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra rivers. Since these are fed both by melting of snow and the precipitation, rivers of these systems are perennial. These rivers, they pass through the giant gorges carved out by the erosional activity, which is carried out simultaneously with the uplift of the Himalayas. Beside deep gorges, these rivers, they also form a V-shaped valleys, rapids and waterfalls. While entering the plains, they form a depositional features like a flat valleys, oxbow lakes, flood plains, braided channels and deltas near the river mouth. The river Kosi, it is also called as the sorrow of Bihar, which has been notorious for frequently changing its course. The Kosi brings huge quantity of sediments from its upper reaches and the deposits in its plains. The course gets blocked and consequently the river changes its course. The Indus River system. It is one of the largest river basins of the world, which covers an area of 11,65,000 square kilometer in India and 3,21,289 square kilometer, and the total length of 2,880 km in India. Thus, the Indus is also known as the Sindhu, which is the westernmost of Himalayan rivers in India. It originates from the glacier near Bokarchu in the Tibetan region at an altitude of 4,164 meter in the Kailash mountain range. In Tibet, it is known as Singhi Khamban, which means lion's mouth. The Indus, it receives a number of Himalayan tributaries such as Shyok, Gilgit, Jaskar, Hunja, Nubra, Shigar, etc. The other important tributaries joining the right bank of Indus are Kuram, Tochi, Gomal, Viboa and the Sangar. They all originate in the Suleiman ranges. The Jhelum, it is an important tributary of Indus. It rises from the spring at Verinag, which is situated at the foot of Pir Panjal in the southeastern part of the valley of Kashmir. The Chenab, which is the largest tributary of the Indus, it is formed by two streams, the Chandra and the Bhaga, which joins at Tandi near Kailong in Himachal Pradesh. Hence, Chenab is also known as Chandrabhaga. The river flows for 1,180 km before entering into Pakistan. River Ravi. It is another important tributary of Indus. It rises west of the Rohtang Pass in the Kulu hills of Himachal Pradesh and flows through the Chamba Valley of that state. River Bias. It is another important tributary of the Indus. It originates from the Bias Kund near the Rohtang Pass at an elevation of 4,000 meter above the mean sea level. The Satluj River, it originates in the Rakas Lake, which is near to Mansarovar at an altitude of 4,555 meter in Tibet, where it is also known as Langchen Kambab. It flows almost parallel to the Indus of about 400 km before entering India. The Ganga river system, it is the most important river of India, both from the point of view of its basin as well as it has some cultural significance. River Ganga, it rises in the Gangotri glacier near Ganumuk in the Uttarkashi district of Uttaranchal. Here, the river Ganga, it is known as Bhagirath. It cuts through the central and lesser Himalayas in the narrow gorges. At Devprayag, the Bhagirath meets Alaknanda. Hereafter, it is known as Ganga. The Alaknanda has its source in the Satopant glacier above Badrinath. The Alaknand consists of Dauli and Vishnu Ganga, which meets at Joshimati or Vishnu Prayag. The other tributaries of Alaknanda such as Pindar join it at Karnaprayag, while Mandakini or the Kali Ganga, it meets it at Rudraprayag. River Yamuna, the westernmost and the longest tributary of the Ganga, it has its source in the Yamunotri glacier on the western slopes of Bandar Panch range. It joins the Ganga at Prayag. It is joined by Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, Ken on its right bank, which originates from the peninsular plateau, while the Hindan, Rind, Sengar and Varuna, etc., they join on its left bank. Much of its water feeds the western and eastern Yamuna and the Agra canals for irrigation purpose. River Chambal, it rises near Mo in Malwa plateau of Madhya Pradesh and it flows northwards through a gorge upwards of Kota in Rajasthan. The river Gandak, it comprises two streams, namely Kali Gandak and Trishul Ganga. It rises in Nepal Himalayas between the Dhaulagiri and Mount Everest and it drains at the central part of Nepal. The river Gagra, it originates in the glaciers of Mapcha Chungo. After collecting the waters of its tributaries, Tila, Seti and Beri, it comes out of the mountain, cutting a deep gorge at Shishapani. River Kosi, it is an antecedent river with its source to the north of Mount Everest in Tibet, where its main stream Arun rises. After crossing the central Himalayas in Nepal, it is joined by San Kosi from the west and the river Tamur Kosi from the east, and it forms Saptkoshi after uniting with river Arun. The Brahmaputra river system, it is one of the largest rivers of the world and it has its origin in Chamyangdang glacier of the Kailash range near the Mansarovar lake. From here, it traverses eastward longitudinally for a distance of nearly about 1200 km in a dry and flat region of southern Tibet, where it is known as river Sangpo, which means purifier. The Rangopo Sangpo, it is a major right bank tributary of this river in Tibet. It emerges as a turbulent and dynamic river after carving out a deep gorge in central Himalayas near Namcha Barwa. The Brahmaputra, it receives a numerous tributaries in its 750 km long journey to the Assam Valley. Its major left bank tributaries are the Burhi Dihing, Dansari and Kalang, whereas the important right bank tributaries are the Subansiri, Kameng, Manas, Sankosh. The Subansiri, which has its origin in Tibet, it is an antecedent river. The Brahmaputra, it enters into the Bangladesh near Dhubri and flows southwards. In Bangladesh, the Teesta river, it joins on its right bank from where the river is known as Yamuna. The peninsular river system. The peninsular drainage system, it is older than the Himalayan, but this is evident from the broad, largely graded shallow valleys and the maturity of the rivers. The Western Ghats, which is running close to the western coast, it acts as a water divide between the major peninsular rivers, which discharges their water in the Bay of Bengal, and as small rivulets joining the Arabian Sea. Most of the major peninsular rivers, except Narmada and the Tapi, which flows from west to east. The Chambal, the Sindh, Betwa, Ken, the Sun, originating in the northern part of peninsula, it belongs to Ganga river system. The other major river systems of the peninsular drainage are the Mahanadi, Godavari, Bhima, Krishna, and the river Kaveri. Peninsular rivers are characterized by fixed course, the absence of meanders, and non-perennial flow of waters. The Narmada and the Tapi, which flows through the Rift Valley, are however exceptions. See you in the next session. Thank you.